talking it out. And like a lot of times when you get to this point, down 3-0, you see, locker rooms and teams start to go in the other direction. We wanted to make sure that we stayed together. We wanted to make sure that we, look each other in the eye and came out today and put our best foot forward. And I'm proud of our group for doing that. Because, you see teams with their back against the wall and you see they just collapse. You didn't see that tonight. You've seen us come together. You've seen us play defense. You've seen us make the right plays. And I think like that shows a lot about our character, especially in a game where everything is on the line and everything has went wrong in the last couple of games.
And our guys really want this, but Boston has something to say about it as well, just like we do. Sometimes things don't go exactly as planned. A lot of what we've done this year has been the hard way, and we've been able to figure out ways to win, even if teams are playing well, if we're not in a perfect flow. And they got us tonight. You have to give them credit for that. There's no doubt about it. There's no questioning it. We're not wondering about that. They deserve to win tonight. We know we have to regroup and get ready for a great opportunity in Boston.
On Monday, I took that opportunity to bury the Celtics. I know I had a lot to say about these Eastern Conference Finals after Boston quit in Game 3. But they haven't quit on a series. And sidebar, it's it's not a series. It's a sequence of stories. Every game is its own story, right? And so I saw this from John Schumann at NBA.com today. Of the other 150 teams that were down 3-0 in best-of-7 series, 126 of them, or 84%, had a worse record than their opponent in the regular season. And as you know, the Celtics were 13 games better than Miami this season, which is the biggest such differential for the now 151 teams that have been down 3-0. So in short, this is the best team or the more better team to be down 0-3, okay, if that makes sense. Furthermore, the Heat had the worst regular season winning percentage, 537, of the 121 different teams in NBA history that have had a 3-0 series lead, not counting the teams that have had multiple 3-0 series lead in the best-of-7 series. So I say all that to say, and now with Gabe Vincent out with an ankle injury, don't let him win two. Because it's like, I'm already like getting my mouth all ready for some orange juice and some hash and my words, because I'm just like, man, they never had to win 4 in a row. That was already a misnomer.
Right.
They don't even now have to win 3 in a row. They only have to win the next 2, which means win this next one and then get it to a game 6. I mean, they've already been written off by me and many others. Yeah. And you're talking to the person, Michael, who once upon a time called the Red Sox. I called on national television. I'm not, breaking my arm, patting myself on the back for some shit that happened 20 years ago.
I think you are.
Well, I'm just saying. I saw how it could happen for Boston against New York, Red Sox, Yankees. You could see how this could happen if the Celtics continue to make their threes, continue to not turn it over. If that team shows up again, and now it's 3-2, and then it's 3, and then it's tied at 3, and then they got game 7 at home, and it's gonna happen eventually. One game at a time, I could see it happening. Like the Heat, all I'm saying is the Heat had better win tonight. Do not let this get any more interesting than it already is. Okay?
I don't know. Okay. All right. But see, here's the problem.
Mainly because I don't want to have egg on my face. I don't want to be.
I'm fine.
I don't want nobody to dig in the archives of Brother from Another, and then I'm one of these people in the highlight reel saying, "This team, break up this team. This team isn't a good fit together." Whatever the hell I said on Monday.
Freezing cold takes. Who cares? Who cares?
Yeah. You've been there.
Everybody's got to.
Didn't the Bills use you? Didn't Buffalo use you?
They used me out of context. They used me in a good way. When I was talking about Von Miller, I was like, love this signing. They were like, hey, so this guy loves the signing. Yeah, but I've been.
Oh, okay.
I've been
that's right. Right. Yeah, they're not that good. Right.
For so many years.
Yeah.
All right, here's the problem. Here's the problem that you and others are making. Everything you say makes sense except for one small detail. Well, two small details. Two small details that are getting in the way of this rampant, it could happen.
It could happen, yeah.
Game 5. Game 5 is hard. Game 5 is going to be really hard, not in general. Game 5 is going to be hard specifically for these Celtics to beat the Miami Heat. Why? Well, one, the Heat have won 2 games already in Boston. So Boston is not some intimidating den for them. They can go in there and win. They've done it.
And
they just did it last week.
The Celtics don't play well at home. They don't play. They haven't played for some reason. They don't play well at home. Yeah.
So the Hawks have beaten them at home. The Sixers have beaten them at home, and the Heat have already beaten them at home. Series is 4 games old, and they've won half the games in Boston in 4 games. That's one. 2, last time the Miami Heat lost 2 games in a row was March 28th and March 29th.
Well, first of all, when's the last time the Celtics won 3 in a row? That's been a long time too, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, I'm not even about 3 in a row. See, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying Game 5. I'm not. On Game 7 and Game 6.
You're talking about
I'm on Game 5. I'm on Game 5, and so they won Game 4. Turn around and win again against Miami in Game 5. Miami has not lost 2 games in the playoffs yet, and they haven't lost 2 games in a row since March, and it's May, damn near June, and so I think that's going to be difficult for the Celtics. And then overall, big picture with like this whole, the other 150 teams, 151 teams, on and on. The reason it's unlikely to happen, this comeback, is because when Moses Malone gave his very poetic declaration before the 1983 playoffs began, when he said, "Foe, foe, foe." Now, we gonna knock them out. We gonna sweep everybody, and they were 1 loss short of that. The reason that was such a big headline is because it rarely happens. Even with great teams playing terrible teams, it's hard just to sweep your way through the playoffs.
Sure.
And so we know Miami cannot beat Boston 4 straight times. They tried, and they failed on Tuesday. Does Boston have the makeup? Let me ask you this. Does Boston have the makeup?
I don't believe that. I don't believe it. I did everything possible to dismantle the Boston Celtics on Monday. So I get how crazy this sounds coming from me. Do they have the makeup? I don't believe so. Nor do I believe that somebody will come back from a 3-0 deficit until they do. I never thought a 16 would beat a 1 in the NCAA tournament. There's a lot of things that we don't think can happen until it does. And usually, typically, and maybe Miami is probably what I'm about to say. Typically, you would agree, in the NBA playoffs, the better team wins, right? Typically.
Yeah. Well, Miami is a better team.
They weren't this season. They weren't this season. They might be in the postseason, and they might be in this series. That's why I say they might be what I'm about to say, which is the better team. They might be. And they have been so far, and they may turn out to be. But until this series is over, that is a question. And the Celtics were the better team this year.
Celtics
come back to
more
win
talent this year. Celtics had more talent this year.
Fair enough. Listen, and I'm a Heat guy. I'm a Heat culture guy. You know that. And I'm not flip-flopping. I'm just feeling a little wobbly right now. I'm feeling a little gymnastics-y right now. I'm feeling a little UCLA gymnastics. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Because the math is mathing. The math is mathing in Game 5 at home, and then you steal Game 6, and it's Game 7. Because that's
the thing. Game 6.
If you get,
it.
But I'm saying, if you get to Game 7, but that's all I'm saying. I'm just saying it's not as big of a mountain to climb as people think. Because if you get it to Game 7, both of y'all got to win that mug. It's like if you ain't got to win 4 in a row, you just got to win 3. And they've already won 1. And you're right. Just win tonight, and then they just got to win 1. And if you're at Game 6, okay, cliche alert. Woo, 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 woo. Cliche alert, okay? All the pressure's on Miami in Game 6 at home if the Celtics can force a Game 6. So You know?
So the Celtics. So
well, how do we trade places? How do we trade places? You were telling me to keep perspective when they were down 3-0 in the macro sense. They win a game, and now you're telling me it's over, and I'm telling you I'm saying there's a chance. How do we get here?
I'm just saying it's hard.
How do we get here?
I'm just saying it's hard. I'm saying it's more difficult than you make it sound. But basically what you're saying is
no, it's definitely difficult. That's why it's never happened.
The Celtics are 2 away from being 1 away. 2 wins away from being 1 win away.
Difficult takes a second. Impossible takes a week. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm saying eventually you would think it would. Speaking of difficult.
Okay, but bottom line, who's going to win tonight? Real quick. Who wins tonight's game?
I think the Celtics win tonight. I think the Celtics win, and this chorus gets louder.
They got to win tonight.
You got it as a blowout.
They got it. And I think the game will not. Whoever wins tonight is going to blow the hell out of the other person.
Okay.
They're going to blow them out.
Somebody's going to be a blowout. Well, I don't
somebody's going to get blown out tonight.
Way.
It's probably going to be Miami.
Yeah, I don't think the Celtics get blown out at home in the elimination game. They seem to relish elimination situations. I say that the Celtics' hearts pump Kool-Aid. What flavor? Red? I don't know, but I think they show a lot of heart tonight. Speaking of difficult though, former Celtics great Kyrie Irving. Out here being a killjoy. All right? He's a free agent. Everybody assumes he's going to re-sign with Dallas. There's talk about him coming to LA could be the thing that keeps LeBron from retiring. Here's Kyrie won't let us be great on social media.
My last thing that I'm going to say after I say I love y'all. Stop mentioning me on Twitters. All y'all fan bases, stop mentioning me right now, please. It is still the Western Conference and Eastern Conference Finals. Denver's going to the finals. You know, we're still waiting for Boston and Miami. Can y'all please leave me out of this? Please, can I just be with my family in peace? Y'all got people at my dinner table discussing what my free agency plans are. Stop that. Y'all think it's funny shit, but please stop that. I actually like having peace of mind when I'm at the crib, all right? Like, I see all y'all ads. I see all y'all mentions. Okay, I said it. I see all y'all stuff y'all be saying. I see all y'all memories. I get it. I'm just as excited as y'all are. But you gotta chill, though.
I'll make this quick. That was the most insincere please stop. That was more like a stop, but keep going. Like, Kyrie, we know Kyrie loves the attention. We know Kyrie loves attention. And let me tell you something, bro. You better relish that attention when you still got it, because pretty soon you're going to be just another one of these ex-players talking about the current generation and what it was like back in your day and how much tougher the league was when you played, okay? Not to mention wherever you sign, be it re-signing with Dallas or signing with somebody else, that please come here, Kyrie, will soon be replaced with how quickly can we get rid of Kyrie? So enjoy this affection and attention while you can, is all I would say.
Right,
Not to mention,
first of all,
this is what makes the league so great. Speculation. Yeah. Nobody does speculation like the NBA.
Right, and the thing is, if people at your dinner table are talking about it, well, they shouldn't be at your dinner table. Like, okay,
that too.
I mean, those are the people you should be able to say, listen, we ain't talking about this tonight. Hey, we just here, we having a good time. Somebody just sitting there and be like, yo, so what we thinking? It's gonna be Dallas, the Lakers.
Right.
Would you ever go back to Cleveland?
Right. We're strangers. We're strangers. We're not in your inner circle. Like, these are the people that are uncouth.
The people, they know you. But here's the other thing. I want to know the profile of those, because I'm really confused by this. The people who, okay, I understand Kyrie saying, hey, enjoy it for the art. He always says that. Enjoy it for the art. You guys are doing it for the likes and the clicks and all this stuff. I'm here for the purity of the game. Okay, I got it. I'm wondering give me the profile of the people who follow Kyrie, who love watching him play basketball, but don't like speculation and don't like the chatter. It's weird. I like
hand in hand.
Because they usually go hand in hand, right? I like that video where Kyrie is dribbling. It was a USA basketball. He's dribbling through the whole team. Remember, like LeBron is there and Kobe's there, and he's dribbling through the entire team. It's great video. I watch it. I can watch that on loop 25, 30 times just to see his ball handling skills. So I watch that, but I also want to know where he's going next and like to
Isn't
speculate.
it
Is it
a
the
compliment?
Lakers?
It's a compliment. Michael, I've said this
But
before, because it's especially true.
Who are the people who don't want to do it? I just wonder, like, really?
I don't think those people exist. These are, I've said this to you because it's especially true in our business, and I can speak from experience. Somebody told me a long time ago, true words have never been spoken. One truism in life, my brother, irrelevance is the enemy. Okay? Irrelevance is the enemy. That's I'll leave it at that. Last thing on the NBA, do you think this flop rule gonna work? So apparently they're gonna test out the flop rule in the summer league, maybe in the G League, we'll see. It sounds great in theory. Fines don't seem to be enough to curtail flopping. I just think it opens up a can of worms. I know how you feel about officiating. I think it gives officials, another opportunity to F up. Because it's like, what's the bar for obvious flop? And then it's like, well, we're going to see something and think it should have been a flop, but they didn't call it a flop, or something that wasn't a flop that they called a flop. It's introducing too much subjectivity. It's the same reason why block charge is hard enough. Now you want them officiating flops? It's the same reason why pass interference in the NFL will never be reviewable again.
You know what, Mike? I was thinking about this the other day, really. I'm serious. And I don't know how we could pull it off. There needs to be an officiating, not only a officiating boot camp, but maybe a liquidation of the entire roster. We liquidate and we redraft and we reset. It's just, this right. What you said about flopping is right, but it's a larger problem. I see dudes getting fouls just by out of position, jumping in. I see dudes like throwing up a shooting motion. They're clearly not shooting. They at the free throw line. I mean, everything in officiating right now just needs to be rethought, reconsidered, just a pause. We just need a pause. As soon as the NBA Finals
Don't
over.
give them more responsibility. Don't put more on their plate. Scale back the playbook. Yeah. I mean, again, flopping's a problem, but I just don't know that this is the solution. It's a rule. Because it's going to lead to more controversy.
Yeah, the fair catch rule. We had a chance to weigh in on that with all special teams coaches. We had a long talk and discussion about that. We weren't for it. We voted against it. We think it's going to create more, high-speed head trauma than not having it in there. That's our position on it. And but we'll see. They want to give it a shot and take a look at it, and we'll give it a shot and take a look at it. So it's in, and because it's in, we support it. But we thought there were better ideas.
My thing is, where does it stop, right? So you start taking pieces, and, we'll see how this goes. But you don't want to take too many pieces away or you'll be playing flag football.
I agree, Big Red. I get the safety concerns, and as a high number of concussions that occur on kickoffs, which there's been a reduction in the number of kickoff returns over the years as they've tried to make the game, and that play in particular, safer. But kickoff returns for me, Michael, put the special in special teams. Let me tell you, young buck, what it was like back in the day of Gale Sayers, okay, and Brian Mitchell, okay, and my man Mel Gray, okay, even Devin Hester, if you want to be a little more contemporary. I mean, kickoff
Billy
returns
White
is
Shoes Johnson.
You know what I'm saying? Kickoff returns are to football what the triple is to baseball. It is the most exciting play in the sport, as far as I'm concerned. And we very rarely see it. And now that you can fair catch inside the 25 and the ball is brought out to the 25, we probably almost never see it, given how little we see it now. And yeah, man, I'm all for player safety, but I'm longing for the halcyon days of kickoff returns for touchdowns.
Yeah, this is one of those situations where the NFL and those who are making these decisions are pretending that there is something magical they can do to make this game safe or safer. You really can't. You can't. I mean, it's let's just say what it is. It's a sport where you have at a professional level. There's nothing like it. First of all, so whatever happens in high school football and college football, it's nothing like the NFL. Professional football is played at a different level. I've heard so many coaches. At first, I thought they were just being bougie. I thought they were just being unrealistic. When I hear these coaches and scouts say, I can't watch college football. They would say that. I can't watch college football. Why? It's a different game. It don't hit in college football. It's not as fast. I'm like, okay, calm down. But you cover pro football. You stand on the sideline. And this really stood out to me when one day I was watching Richard Seymour. You know Richard Seymour, Big C, 93. I was watching him warm up. Seymour is about 6'6", playing weight about 310, 315, and he was moving fast. And I was like, damn. Okay, this is a defensive lineman, 6'6", 315 pounds, moving fast. And it just gives you a sense of, okay, now that guy's going to hit you. There's really no way around it. It's a sport. It's fast. It's played by grown men who are getting paid. They're angry, and it's violent. And so, yeah, you take out kickoffs, but there are so many other things in football that are just inherently dangerous, and you know what you're signing up for. So I think they should just, stop with the nonsense and just bring it back. I mean, it's a 1-year trial, they say, which means it's going to be permanent. But they shouldn't.
You think so?
They shouldn't.
Yeah, they may pull it back. It's also, I also think you're just missing out on your core special teamers. You know what I mean? Like from a job standpoint, like return specialists or guys that were great at covering kickoffs. Like, I mean, I've always respected the guys that did that. Talk about how fast this game is. Let's pivot. Few people, if any, are faster, definitely not a quarterback, than Lamar Jackson. We know how well he can run, but the Ravens went out of their way to beef up their receiver room this offseason. And it sounds like Lamar is going to be airing it out quite a bit. Here's what he had to say from OTAs.
The new offense is smooth, more verbiage than usual. I like it. I'm loving it so far. You know, you can change things when you want to. You know, you see the defense is not looking right to you. See some guy blitzing. You might want your receiver to do something different. Coach giving you the free will to do whatever you want to. I mean, just being able to throw the ball down the field. You know, we sometimes you know we can't. Running can only take you so far, you know, and I feel like with this new era of teams and offenses in the league, I feel like we need that, and Coach Todd Monken, what I'm seeing his offense so far is looking tremendous. Less running and more throwing, I say. You know, I hear a lot of noise about throwing and stuff like this, yards to achieve and stuff, but I'm not really worried about the yards as much. It's about us just winning.
Well, I look at it this way. For Lamar Jackson, and this is, I don't know if you've noticed this too, we act like the Baltimore Ravens didn't make the playoffs last year without Lamar Jackson. So Lamar Jackson, I guess it was maybe the time we spent talking about his injury, to the time we spent talking about his contract, to what the Ravens are like with Tyler Huntley in there as compared to Lamar Jackson. But Lamar Jackson is back. As you mentioned, they beefed up the receiving core. They got a good offensive line. They have one of the best tight ends in football. It's one of the best organizations. Traditionally, a well-run organization. It's almost like we've kind of skipped over the Ravens. The Ravens are a factor because Aaron Rodgers. Well, I'd say Vegas. How about we? How about we in Vegas? We who like to bet.
You know that's our thing. We who?
We who? The betting public.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Female training officer. The betting public. We ran it a couple days ago. Number one, the top 3 teams in the AFC, no surprise, from a betting perspective, and rightfully so. Kansas City, Buffalo, Cincinnati. Number 4 was the New York Jets. What? And then 5 is the Ravens. The Ravens were right there. The Ravens are right there with the Cincinnati Bengals in the wild card game.
They were.
And they probably should have stolen that one. Stolen that win in Cincinnati. So I'm looking at this year. The contract situation is resolved for Lamar. Lamar got off to a great start last year. It was an MVP conversation.
He sure was.
Hey,
looked like that bet was working and ultimately did. Yeah.
I mean, I think we need to start paying more attention to Lamar Jackson, the player, and what he's going to do.
You want to talk about respect? He's not Dan Marino, but I don't think Lamar has ever got enough respect for his ability as a passer. Dude once threw, in his MVP season, he threw 36 touchdown passes. He's typically around the 60% mark. I know he's not the most precise passer, but more than capable. And I know Jalen Hurts has been talking about how the contract is only making him more motivated. I would like to see that same thing from Lamar, that the money just makes him want to prove himself and put a bigger chip on his shoulder, a bigger, more expensive chip on his shoulder. And I'd love to see him air it out a lot more and become even more of a well-rounded quarterback than he already is. The guy you don't have to worry about in this regard, from a passing standpoint, is, of course, Patrick Mahomes. But Patrick Mahomes says something that just lets you further know that he's the perfect quarterback. He's got the arm, he's got the head, he's got the legs, but he's got the perspective, most important.
Yeah, I mean, I always keep, me, my agent, and the team always keep open communication. And we try to do whatever is the best for the team, but obviously I want to do the best for myself as well. But at the same time, I've always said I worry about legacy and winning rings more than making money at this moment. But I know we keep communication. We see what's going on around the league. But at the same time, I'll never do anything that's going to hurt us from keeping the great players around me. So it's kind of teetering around that line. You just want to do whatever to not hurt other quarterbacks whenever their contracts come up. You want to kind of keep the bar pushing. And so it's not about being the highest paid guy. It's not about making a ton of money. I've made enough money where I'll be set for the rest of my life. But at the same time, you got to find that line where you're making a good amount of money, but you're still keeping a lot of great players around you so you can win these Super Bowls and you're able to compete in these games.
So that's what I'm saying. It's easy for me to say because it ain't my money. But, like, how much money does one person need? But what you can never have enough of, is rings. And the dude that we think he has a chance to catch, if not surpass, has got how many? And 7, right? And the reason he's got that many, in large part, is because he took that same attitude and approach. That's not the only reason why, but he took that same attitude and approach in New England. Too much criticism, but look where it got him. Like, and those rings are priceless. That reputation, that legacy, you know, history remembers kings. Like, that's priceless. So you could be highest paid temporarily. You're gonna get passed anyway. Ain't nobody passing 7 anytime soon. If anybody got a chance, it's that guy. And the only way he's got a chance is if he has that same quality supporting cast that he had last year and he's had the past several years. But he's got the right balance with it, though, too. Don't want to mess it up for the people coming behind me. Still want to look at it from a players' association union perspective. But selfishly, it's like everybody got to eat in order for all of us, you know, to get where we want to go, you know?
You know what, you pointed to your head a couple of times, and that's really where Patrick Mahomes is. It's like it's a mental next level thing that he's got going. It's growth. It is seeing the entire field, literally and figuratively, seeing the entire field. Look, Mike, think about all the professions where you go in, and whether it's in sports or anywhere else, you go into the profession, you're thinking about establishing yourself. Then maybe you start thinking about all the money you can make. Then you start thinking about all the awards you can get, all that. It's usually later in your career where you say, well, all that stuff doesn't matter. I'm just really competing against myself. I'm trying to be my man.
Right.
He's already done this. He's already made a bunch of money. He's already won a bunch of awards. He's established himself clearly as the best quarterback in football. And so now this is dangerous to get here in your 20s.
Yeah, right?
Right. You get here in your 20s. Like, sometimes you get there in your 30s.
Right.
Some people
then you're like, oh, if I had known then what I know now, it's like he knows it now. What he should know later. Yeah,
Next level.
Absolutely. The Denver Broncos are trying to get to that level. They got a new coach, of course, in Sean Payton. Let's welcome to the program my main man, Krisztal, sports anchor and reporter for KOA Colorado. Just came off the field, did you not, Brandon, from Broncos OTAs? I mean, obviously the rest of the league is trying to catch up with the Chiefs, but obviously the AFC West first and foremost. Bro, I really like what the Broncos have done this offseason. I like their draft. I like the offseason signing of Zach Allen from Arizona, and I love having Sean Payton at the helm. So, like, just generally speaking, like, what's the energy around the Broncos in terms of the facility and really the fan base right now?
Well, it's hard to put into words exactly the feel around here because in the Sean Payton era, we don't get to hang out here very much. We have a radio studio here that we get to use from time to time, but this is the first time I've been in here in a while. It used to have our station logo right here. It is now just the Broncos radio studio, even though this is all of our equipment in here and all of that. That being said, and by the way, great to join both you guys. It's going to be a lot of fun talking with you. Sean is from the Bill Parcells tree, and you guys, of course, are familiar with Bill Belichick and how he operates. What I think everybody around here didn't realize, because Sean's so affable and will go on these long stories or these long, rants, or if you will, veering here and there to tell a story, he still doesn't want to give you anything. So we can't tweet during practice. Apparently there's a little too much tweeting in the rookie minicamp. And Damari Mathis had an interception today for a touchdown. We can't tell you who the quarterback was. You could guess. I'm not going to get in trouble because I don't want it to be a big deal. But so in the Sean Payton era, Sean's around. Russell Wilson is at Nuggets games. I know we'll get to the Nuggets here in a bit, but they are operating in darkness, right? The old Lil Wayne line, right? Real G's moving silence like lasagna.
Silence like lasagna. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's exactly who Sean Payton wants to be. And the only person that really is allowed to talk for the most part is Sean. It's one of those things where I was talking with somebody the other day about the way they kind of tamp the players down. And we haven't heard. This is the first time we talked to Russell Wilson since Sean was hired. I've seen him in a couple Nuggets games and said hi to him. But this is the first time on the record that he talked today. And he said, he gave you the typical cliched, great to have him, one of the greatest coaches of all time, exactly what you would expect. Yeah. Right. We didn't get a let's ride. We got to go Nuggets as he got off the podium. Let's ride, I think, has been put to bed for a while. Okay. So
because
they're
that's
just
what I
trying
like
to
about
operate
it.
quietly.
Well, and I like that, Michael. No, I'm sorry, Brian. I was going to say to Michael, I like that because juxtapose that with last offseason. Where it was nothing but hype and nothing about, like, it was a quarterback away, and that all blew up in their face, Michael.
Well, Brandon, I do want to ask about the guy you mentioned, Russell Wilson, because last year it looked like he was done. It did. I never thought I'd say that about Russell, but he looked so bad last year. Was this a scheme thing, or did you have that thought too that, oh, wow, the Broncos got a guy who doesn't have it anymore?
Here's where I didn't fully believe that he was done or washed, right? We saw those tweets really from the jump. He played okay on that Monday night game in Seattle, but by the time, Michael, you were here with Thursday Night Football, which was week 5 against the Colts, and he throws that terrible interception all of a sudden, and they didn't play great against the Niners. They snuck past the Niners, didn't play great. You're like, is he maybe done? And then you realize as you start to unpack everything, Nathaniel Hackett was maybe in a little bit over his head, hired an inexperienced staff where almost nobody had that specific job prior. The receivers coach and the DBs coach were the only people that had held that exact role. So you had everybody in the building was new. And Russ, who had a lot of this freedoms in Seattle in terms of people in the building at times, and then Pete and John Schneider would rein it back in, kind of got the keys to the castle and took advantage of it, and I think was trying to maybe do a little too much. And Nathaniel Hackett at the same time was looking over there going, I have Russell Wilson, so they're in the red zone, and 15 of the first 18 plays inside the 10-yard line for the season were passes. It should have been 16. Russ checked out a one to a run that led to a fumble on Monday Night Football because of miscommunication, but I think it was just not the right mix. And so kind of also answering your first question, because expectations were so high with Nathaniel Hackett and Russ together, they've now been dropped down to, can we just be 500? Man, the playoffs would be nice. We're so far away from the Chiefs on paper, if you will. Even though they've played the Chiefs as tough as anybody in the Patrick Mahomes era, nonetheless, they haven't beaten them in, I think, 15 tries, which is crazy. So I don't think Russ is washed. At the end of the year, when you had the interim head coach, all of a sudden they pared everything down. They handed the ball off a lot more. And maybe that's the one other storyline from the biggest storyline we're allowed to talk about. Javonte Williams, 7 months after ripping his knee up, maybe even a little shy of that, and doing a lot of damage, so we were told, is out there today with a knee brace, with a helmet on, not going full speed, but clearly ahead of the schedule. And so with him and Samaje Perine, do they add one more veteran back? Perhaps. We thought it might be Latavius Murray coming back. It might make Russ's life a lot easier, and he's got a pretty nice stable of receivers still.
So you guys are used to the Broncos being successful, obviously not so much recently, but more or less, you got a standard of expectation there. Nuggets, meanwhile, uncharted territory right now. First finals appearance in franchise history. And I told Michael this before, I've enjoyed, I know Michael as well, we've enjoyed watching the Joker get the last laugh, Because, rarely does any team, let alone a number one seed with a two-time MVP, get to legitimately play the no respect card. The Nuggets and their fan base can legitimately play the nobody outside of this locker room believed in us card. So what is it like for this region, this fan base, this community to be able to sit back, kick up their feet, and bask in the glow of being in the finals, having swept the Lakers while these little Eastern Conference teams kind of figure it out, and just be like, the longest I told you so tour in recent memory on the part of Nuggets and their fans? What's this like for Nuggets, the Nuggets Nation?
It's been really exciting, and it's going to just keep building. They get 9 full days from when they sweep the Lakers, the monster, the dragon, if you will, that they could never beat. 7 times in the playoffs. They were 0-7, including in 3 conference finals in the 80s with Dan Issel and Alex English, 0-9 with Carmelo and Chauncey Billups. They kept throwing the ball to Trevor Ariza on inbounds plays 2 games in a row. That was maybe their best team. That's what George Karl will tell you. And then in the bubble in 2020, they made a nice run. Jamal Murray goes nuts, and they still obviously come up short against LeBron and AD. So they get to slay that dragon and now just kind of wait. They thought they're going to see the Heat, and maybe they still will, right? We have yet to see someone come back from down 0-3, but you guys are very familiar with the one team that's done it in baseball in recent memory, and I'm sure I saw where Bill Simmons said that he loved seeing the 0-4 Red Sox pop up on the screen there in L.A. We know that that's going to happen tonight in Boston, right? There's no way they're not going to have do we know if Kevin Millar, Johnny Damon's going to be there courtside?
Pedro.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
So, yeah, of course. Big Papi, I'm sure, is available to come by and get the crowd fired up. But assuming it's still Miami, regardless of how long this series plays out, either way, they get to rest, recover. They've been fine with a little bit of extra rest. They kind of shut things down late in the year. Then they had the the play-in game break. And so they're remarkably healthy, and they're just kind of showing the rest of the basketball world that Nikola Jokic may not be the flashiest superstar, but he doesn't play just like Tim Duncan. There's a little more to his game than just the boring, methodical approach that Tim Duncan gave us for all those Hall of Fame years.
Well, that's what I want to get to is Jokic, and he's been the MVP. He's not an overnight sensation. We know his story. Now being recognized as the best player in the world, but now being on the biggest stage, I wonder what that's going to do for his reputation. But first, here's what the GOAT had to say about Jokic. And Michael, you could take it out of this.
I know how great Joker is. Certain guys in this league that play the game a certain way that I like to play the game as well. And he's one of them. Where you are always off balance when you guard a player like that because of his ability to score, rebound, shoot. He sees plays before they happen. There's not many guys in our league like that. So you already knew you was going against a beast once the series started. And not only just about his game, everybody gets cracked up into his stats, but I don't think a lot of people talk about like this part of his game. Well, maybe it's not talked about because a lot of people don't understand it. But I do. He's special.
Ooh, high praise from LeBron James. And I want to ask you something in a second. I just want to point out, you mentioned David Ortiz. You said David Ortiz might be available. Look, David Ortiz is available for anything free. I'm just going to put that out there. You got something free, David Ortiz is going to be there, whether it has historical implications or not. He's just that dude. But I want to ask you, like, LeBron is talking about Jokic, and I always want to know, for teams that don't get the respect that they deserve, and I think Denver is in that category, what is one thing about tell us something about the Nuggets, maybe even beyond Jokic, that is core to what they do that people outside of Colorado don't even realize. Just tell us one thing that we should be looking for that we're not looking for.
Well, I'm hoping that this story gets told a little more publicly, and you can do some searching online. Aaron Gordon, who I believe is single, has plenty of money, but has this, I don't know if he actually lives there full time, but has a full-blown clubhouse, warehouse thing with cars and a full-court basketball court. I think Bones Highland had some Instagram posts when they were working out in the offseason when he was still with the team, and a bunch of guys were there, and they played all these video games there. Is that this team is remarkably close, and you guys have covered championship teams and understand that that unspoken bond where these guys not only love being at work together, but when the Nuggets are on the road, they'll go to movies or go out like in double digits. That Joker may not be out all the time. He just kind of keeps to himself a little bit and hangs with his family and his brothers who are seemingly everywhere with him and his wife and kiddo at home. But that these guys love being around each other. And you can't really put a value on that when they not only want to hang out at the office, so to speak, but whenever they hit the road are still hanging out, or when they're in town in Denver are still going to dinner together or doing whatever, you know, going out having a pop or two or shooting some pool or playing video games together, even when they're in their own separate houses. That this is a remarkably close team, and Aaron Gordon in some respects is a ringleader, but then guys like Jeff Green and DeAndre Jordan help facilitate that, as does Ish Smith. And you've got this, you know, core group of young, talented players in their prime, and then old guys and really young guys, and it's just kind of the perfect mix. So I'm hoping that story gets told, and maybe this is the first place that it'll start to take off.
Brandon, we appreciate you, brother, man. Thanks for joining us with some Rocky Mountain High knowledge. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right, man. Talk to you again soon.
You have night number 1 that says we're a work in progress, and then you have night number 2 that says we can absolutely win because we've got a superstar. I mean, a big, giant superstar. But is she going to have to score 45 a night to win? If she is, this isn't going to work. So, because this team didn't have a lot of time in preseason to play together, because Jonquel Jones spent a significant amount of time dealing with injury coming into the season, not really playing, getting her conditioning in, because it's going to take a while for this team chemistry to come together, because Courtney Vandersloot spent the whole preseason in concussion protocol. For all those reasons, New York fans, relax. Is it going to work? Yes. Is it going to work today? No. But a lot of people were disappointed in opening weekend. A lot of irrational people were disappointed in opening weekend for Liberty.
That was LaChina Robinson, one half of the Around the Rim podcast with our good friend Terrika Foster-Brasby, here to drop knowledge, to get buckets on the WNBA, the beginning of the season, and who knows, maybe we'll sneak some Colts talk in there as well. But I want to stay with that theme, though, Terrika. Like, so far, like, what's real? What's an illusion? Like, some of your early impressions from the first, you know, not even handful, first few games of the WNBA season. I got an idea that you may start with your Connecticut Sun.
Oh, you're so smart. I am absolutely going to start with my Connecticut Sun. They are quite certainly a surprise. I don't think anyone expected them to go 0-3, but I also don't think anyone expected them to go 3-0. They're leading the WNBA right now in the standings with 3 wins, against 2 of which against a really good Washington Mystics team. So it wasn't like the wins came easy. They definitely showed that they are a team that is still rooted in defense. They showed that they are a team open and welcoming to embracing the style of play from new head coach Stephanie White. And so we are definitely excited about them. On the other end of that, as the clip that you played, still trying to figure out what's going on with the New York Liberty. Now, while my co-host is very adamant that there is still time and people need to have patience, I am on the opposite end of that spectrum. Y'all ain't got no time because y'all play in New York. And New York fans do not know what rationality means. They don't know what it means to be a rational fan. They want you to win, and they want you to win today. So y'all ain't got no time to figure it out. You better figure it out now.
You know what I really enjoyed, and I want you to drill down on this even more. I enjoyed a Twitter thread that you had when you said, look, okay, thank you all for paying attention to Brittney Griner's return. Thank you for your opinions on Becky Hammon and the scandal that's going on with the Las Vegas Aces. But, hey, let's, have us on, do your research. Don't keep up the same energy in the middle of the WNBA season, not just when things are happening. Go ahead and preach the gospel. I'm just gonna sit here. I'm gonna sit here with my fan from either an insurance home or MLK on the front of it.
That's on both sides. Yeah, it's insurance on the
that's
back.
Right. That's right.
Mortuary on the back, MLK on the front. Yeah.
MLK on the front. There it is.
It's got to be the MLK. Yeah. It's got to be the MLK with the praying hands. But
that's right.
The whole point of that is just simply we see a lot of people in mainstream media following the WNBA when it's time for free agency, when it's time for the big names to drop and who's going to go where and who's going to stay where. We see a lot of people following the WNBA around this big story around Brittney Griner and around the controversy and the allegations around Becky Hammon. But the way that we grow this league is that we continue to have that same energy and that same want to cover this league accurately and fairly when it's not the biggest stories. When there is nothing going on in the NBA, somehow mainstream media finds a way to manufacture a story to make sure that there's an NBA headline every single day. Nobody is unhappy right now in the NFL, and yet the NFL is still dominating the headlines. Aaron Rodgers got his money. Nobody's mad there. Lamar Jackson is there. I haven't heard a single player saying they're holding out for OTAs, and yet still we find a way to keep the NFL atop of the headlines. And so all I was simply asking is, let's keep that same energy for the WNBA. We recently had a star player make a remark about how she's being officiated like a rookie. That would be Elena Delle. That's something mainstream media should pick up. If any other NBA player would make that kind of comment about how they're officiated, we'd be all over it. So all I'm saying is take the extra step to give these women the coverage they deserve. Tell their stories. Make sure you're pronouncing their name correctly by all means. It is Breanna Stewart, not Brianna Stewart. And just continue to get to know these teams so that we can continue to provide the adequate and fair, equitable coverage that they deserve.
Well, I want to provide you the opportunity to both further comment on Elena Delle comments on the officiating, but also, too, want to sneak in, so this is two different questions in one, just in the sake of efficiency. We all celebrated Brittney Griner's return, but the Mercury are 0-2, again, early, but I would just love to know about on the court Phoenix as well. So you could tackle both of those subjects real quick.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Elena Delle had a point. I was actually covering the game that she played against Connecticut when she made those comments. And the officiating, not only was it not extremely good in that particular game, but there was also an official missing in that game. So apparently somewhere between halftime and the third quarter, one of the officials limped off the court, went to the back. We had no idea what was going on. Midway through the third quarter, we found out that the official had some type of ankle injury and would not be returning to the game. The WNBA does not have a rule that they have to have backup officials on site. So the game continued with only 2 officials versus 3. Now, if you are already complaining about not being able to get the calls that you desire. Well, now you are down an official, so you can imagine what type of calls were missed or not missed and things. So now we're opening a new conversation with, do we need to have backup officials in the WNBA for instances like this? But when you add that to a player like Elena Delle, who has literally been under injury protocol for the last 2 years, hasn't played a full season since 2019, only 29 games over the last 2 years, had tons of back surgeries, also was dealing with Lyme disease at one point. Like, this is a player who has worked her butt off to get back in this league. The last thing she needs is to feel like I am a champion and a superstar, and I'm not even getting the kind of calls that I deserve. So definitely something that the league needs to look into. In terms of Brittney Griner had an amazing start this weekend. 18 points in her return, 27-10 on Sunday. I mean, I was crying. I ain't gonna lie. I was crying because I'm coming home. Then she screamed at the crowd, I'm back. I was like, wow, this is the energy that we need. But let's be honest, this is practically a new team under a new coach that Brittney has not played with before. Vanessa Nygaard is only in her 2nd year as head coach, and she's never coached with Brittney. This is also a team without their star point guard, Skylar Diggins-Smith, who is out for maternity leave. So there are some pieces that they're trying to figure out where to go, how to go, where do we place them? So it's gonna take some time. And I think that, again, as we kind of talked about a little bit before the show, that it's a very small sample size. So there could absolutely be adjustments that will be made. But I think the point is, this is a BG who has not truly touched the basketball court in this way since 2021. And if that was 70% of BG,
yeah,
I'm scared for 100.
Yeah. Hey, before we let you go, I saw A-Rich splitting first team reps. Listen. Hey, that's my dude right there.
He about to light them up. Y'all hear it here first. Y'all, you wait till football season start and I come back on here talking cash major junk. You know it.
How many wins? How many wins? Put it out there now. How many wins?
11.
Oh, come
11.
on.
11.
Okay.
11.
Right. Damn,
right.
11?
Okay. All right.
11.
I respect it.
All right. We appreciate you, Terrika. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Terribly saddened to hear about the passing of the iconic performer, Tina Turner, at age 83, the queen of rock and roll, but happy that her life and career happened. Nutbush, Tennessee. Sports are all about comeback stories. We've never seen a comeback story quite like Tina Turner in life. I was so happy that she was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2001 as a solo performer. She was already in as part of Ike and Tina Turner, but as a solo performer. But man, you can't have a credible conversation about artists or performers without very, very quickly in that conversation getting to one Tina Turner. She was simply the best, better than all the rest. Nobody like her.
Yeah, she was. And you know what I think about this? You know what? There's so many thoughts with Tina Turner. You think about, I like the headline, it talks about her resilience, her resurgence, her ability to inspire just with her story, her biography, her memoir, I should say, was called I, Tina.
Yeah.
But as I put there, it's we too, because a lot of us, you can see yourself in there. And if you can't see yourself in there, you can appreciate the journey that she had to
she
get
was
to
cleaning
where she
friends'
was.
houses. When she left Ike, she was cleaning friends' houses and living on food stamps.
Incredible.
Before she was rediscovered and became a superstar in the 80s. Incredible, and I think incredible inspiration for all of us. Your ladder can be greater.
I think of so many crazy things. You know what I think about? And I know you grew up with that. You grew up in a musical city and a musical family. I think about your wedding and your mom.
My parents
and
performed
Bobby
in Proud
J.
Mary.
Bobby
Listen,
J performing.
Have you ever?
They did that thing.
With all due respect,
respect
to my parents, have you heard me perform Proud Mary? That's my go-to karaoke. I will grab any woman in the club and I will say, "Left a good job down in the city, working for the man every night and day." Bro, that's my joint. I will crush some Proud Mary. I will crush some Proud Mary.
You said all due respect to your parents.
Me and Tiffany Haddish did Proud Mary. Me and Tiffany Haddish did
You and Tiffany Haddish.
We shut it down.
You and Tiffany Haddish.
I'll tell you that story another day. But it's about Tina right now, though. But listen, who does not know the words to What's Love Got to Do with It? I first was introduced to Tina because I didn't know nothing about her when I was young, but I watched Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. And who says we don't need another hero? Who says we don't need another way home? You know what I mean? I'm telling you, Tina Turner, please. I'm going to watch What's Love Got to Do with It right now. Shout out to Queen Angela Bassett. Another opportunity to give her flowers.
Yeah, thank you, Tina. Thank you, Tina. And just the energy to perform.
Oh, my God.
In her 50s and 60s and 70s.
Nobody like her. Rest in power.
Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget, you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.